Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to another episode of the Movie Crusaders Chat About. My name's Sean Wasserkrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. And I say welcome back to another episode because we haven't done a Movie Crusaders Chat About since, what was it, early last year? Or did we do one this year yet?
I think it might be in the first half of this year we did.
I remember we used to do one like every month. And it was awesome. I loved it, but it just got, I think it was last year. I don't think it was last year because we did like the downfall of movie theaters and like the death of Pixar. And pretty sure that was last year we did that. But we're coming back to it now. We basically, life has changed a little bit for us, mainly me, since now I'm my girlfriend and her kids have moved in. Obviously, that's why we have the new setup, new layout here. And Sean's time is busier than normal.
And of course, as soon as Sean was available, I decided to go on like a short vacation with my wife, so I was gone for like a week.
You were. I saw your photos. I was like, oh, Brian's clearly doing stuff.
I mean, besides Chat About, we haven't done like a show in like a month and a half at this point.
It's been a month since we did the last weekly Crusader show, which I said this on the Five Nights at Freddy's review. If you guys check that out, cool. That we're probably not going to come back with weekly Crusaders for the rest of the year, or it's on hiatus for right now because it's just we weren't really able to do it weekly because I was out for like a month trying to get everything situated with the move and the new set and everything. So we weren't going to just try to dump a whole bunch of those episodes, because we'd have to watch them all and we just don't have that kind of time. So now we're going back to this Movie Crusaders Chat About setup where sometimes we'll do special episodes where we're talking about a very specific topic, or we're going to do something like what we're doing today, which is very free-flowing, just kind of hangout. We're going to talk about what we've been doing during this last month. What have we been watching? There's been a ton of trailers that have dropped in the past month while we've been gone. We're going to talk about that, as well as any movie news that's popped up recently, and also what we've got coming up on the channel here next. So it's going to be very free-flowing. So if you guys just want to hang out with us, that's what this video is going to be about. We're just going to kind of talk about a bunch of different things. Nothing really, set up. I mean, there might be certain things that pop up that we might talk for 15 minutes on, and other things we might talk about for 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. It's not important. But that's how we're going to do today. So like I said, for me, for the past month, Sean's really kind of coming to actually being a father all of a sudden real fast. Because my girlfriend has 2 kids. She just moved in. So I've quickly had to adapt very, very fast, which Brian even said today, welcome to my world.
Yes, exactly. I can have that Schadenfreude of just watching you live through what I live through every day.
Yes, because here's how most of our conversations with Brian and I go, a little inside behind the scenes. Brian's like, "Hey, do you want to shoot today? Do you want to shoot today? Can you shoot during the day?" And in my head, I'm like, "No, like I don't work until tonight. I just want to relax and hang out and not do anything. Let's shoot at night." And Brian's like, "Okay, well, I have like this like hour window to shoot tonight before I have to go to work because he works nights and I am fluid because of retail." And now that I'm in this situation, I'm like, hey, I'm cool with shooting during the day now. It's quiet. It's quiet during the day and it's noisy at night. So Brian's like, welcome to my world. So definitely that's what's been happening with me. In terms of watching stuff, I mean, I've been watching stuff, but I'm behind. I'm clearly behind on a lot of things that have come out in the last month, mostly streaming stuff. Because like I said on the Five Nights at Freddy's review, there really hasn't been much in theaters, which is sad for October. Because there's stuff that has come. I think the biggest movie that's come out since everything's happened that I still have not watched is Creator, which you did watch, which I'm pretty sure we talked about on our last episode. Because I think that was right when Creator came out.
We talked about briefly, I think, and I think it hit streaming like the next week or two. So
yeah, so that's probably the only thing, because I had no interest in Saw X or anything like that. There hasn't really been a movie that's come out outside of Creator that's made me go, oh man, I really need to get to the theaters and see it. That isn't going to be released in streaming here in the next couple of weeks, like Killers of the Flower Moon. I'll power myself through that when it drops on Apple. The Killer, that came out last week in theaters. It drops.
It came out a week or two ago, but it's super limited. Like the big chains aren't even carrying it. It's going to become smaller chains. So I have to wait for this weekend on streaming.
Yeah, that is one of Brian's most anticipated films of the year. So we might actually do a joint review of that. So be on the lookout for that. So yeah, in terms of like new release stuff, there hasn't really been anything that I feel like I've missed. Now this week we've got Marvels coming out. I will definitely be seeing that here. We will definitely have a review for that. And we're now finally starting to hit the holiday season. So we're actually finally going, oh crap, there's actually movies to go watch now. Has there been anything movie-wise for you? And then I'll come back to me, because mine's more on the side of TV. Has there been anything real movies-wise for you that you have watched in the month that we've been away that you would like to talk about or discuss?
This is one of my slimmest theatrical viewing months
I feel like
since
this is worse
COVID.
than
Like
COVID.
since the height of COVID when they were closed.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen I think 4 movies in like the last month and a half in the theaters, which is
that's how I know it's been like this, because even in this month we've barely spoke. Not because we didn't want to talk. It's just we had nothing really to talk about. Movies
there's nothing to talk about. And I have an AMC A-list, so I can go see 3 movies every week if I want to. If I mean, assuming I have time, of course, with other things going on. But it's like there's been nothing I want to go see, or it's been stuff that I'm like, I'll wait for it because it's going to hit, streaming or something eventually. Because it's just not jumping out at me. I mean, I think the one major one obviously was Five Nights at Freddy's, which I saw your review and I pretty much agreed with beginning to end. So it was like I'm not into the games. I know nothing about the games, so maybe the fans of it enjoyed it more on some level. But for me, it was just kind of like,
Yeah, it's like it's not Willy's Wonderland, which was complete and utter dog shit, but it wasn't good either. I wanted it to be good. I wanted it to be awesome, but like I said on the review, it's making a ton of money, so we will probably get sequels to it. Maybe they'll do better with the sequel for it, but yeah, because outside of you messaging me just checking in, saying, "Hey, how's everything going?" Hey, no rush on when you want to shoot, but just touching base. Like you haven't really said, "Hey, I watched this."
No.
There wasn't. Yeah, much.
Because I've watched. And actually, I haven't watched a movie in over a week now at all. So I'm kind of going through a withdrawal right now. I have to make up for lost time. I was marathon something.
You're gonna watch The Killer like 4 times this weekend and be fine.
Oh, The Killer. Okay, sorry, my mind went to Killer's the Flower Moon. I was like, hell no. And we just lost half our audience. Okay, cool. But no, it's I'm gonna watch The Killer. I'm hopeful for it, but I mean, David Fincher is, as much as I love a lot of his films, there's other films like some of the stuff like Mank and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which are well-made movies, but I'm like,
I still have not watched Mank.
Yeah,
I can't bring myself to do it.
It doesn't feel like a David Fincher movie to me. It just feels like a waste of his time, and I'm hoping, and that was his first Netflix one, so I'm hoping this one won't feel the same way to me, but we'll see. But otherwise, yeah, I haven't seen much. The only other thing I think I saw in theaters recently was a movie called Dix the Musical, which have you heard of this movie?
I know it, but it's just hard not to just go for the easy joke there.
Well, it's totally this absurdist comedy kind of thing. Think about like, Wet Hot American Summer or some of the early stuff from the South Park guys, like Cannibal the Musical and things like that. It's just it's clearly low budget. It's just very ridiculous. It's over the top, and it's actually directed by the guy who directed Borat.
You've lost me right there.
And it's a musical, and there are parts of it that I think are really funny. I think it's one of those things where when it's funny, it's really funny. But then so many times, just like they go a little bit too far, and you're like, "What the hell is this?" So even turn off your light, and they decided to shove in Megan Thee Stallion in a role for no reason whatsoever. It's like She-Hulk all over again. She has a song there that's not funny, that's not good or funny at all. But it's like, I enjoyed it. I mean, it's the kind of thing that I think people could have fun sitting around, drinking with their buddies and watching it. But it's what it is. But other than that, yeah, there's been nothing out in theaters. Thanks, actors and writers strike. Yay.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like we're not even being affected by that yet. That none of the stuff that this crappy schedule has nothing to do with that.
Well, in some ways it does, because nobody can promote films. They're using that as a reason. I mean, that's the reason they pushed off Dune out of October back in next year, and some other things like that is because of this. And so it is affecting this. Now it's going to affect more once we get into next year. So like we're already seeing them. They bumped Deadpool again and some other things like that are going to be affected by it because they either can't finish shooting or that just because of things get bumped back. So other things have to bump like a train. But there are things that it has ended up making this last month or so very, very sparse. And like you said, as we're getting into November and December, I was looking at November and there's actually a bunch of stuff I want to see. Not a whole lot of major stuff that I'm like super anticipating, but there's at least things to see.
It's all, and I think because most of the stuff that we were excited for got pushed, I think the next 2 months has all solid films, but nothing that's like just I can't wait. It's more like, all right, cool, I'm gonna see that. I'm excited to see it, but I'm not like over the moon like Guardians 3 or Indiana Jones when we were waiting for it to come out and stuff like that. It's more like, all right, these look like they could be solid. I mean, I'm sorry, even though we've already seen a trailer for it, it does not feel like Aquaman comes out in a month. It
Oh
doesn't.
no, absolutely
They're doing the bare minimum in terms of promoting that, because I don't think they even want to release it. I'd be shocked that they would. Hello, dog. That is the girlfriend's dog, so she might pop up periodically because she loves this couch. But yeah, they're doing the bare minimum. I think just because more or less they know that, hey, we're continuing on without this, so we're just going to drop it, which I think
it does feel like they're kind of dumping it, but at the same time, I mean, obviously they're not going to take that big of an investment and just not promote it at all. So I think that now that we're in November, we're going to see more promotion, especially once you hit closer to Thanksgiving, because it comes out like December 18th or something like that.
Something like that.
So I think you will see a much bigger marketing push closer to it. But yeah, right now it's odd how it does not. It seems like right now it's coming out next summer with the amount of trailers.
You would think with it getting ready to come out that they would be driving the shit out of that, and they are basically acting like this doesn't exist, which is weird. Like that's not something we are normally used to. Now in terms of what I've watched lately, before I go into TV, because it's been more positively for me TV stuff than it has been movies. You did watch this. I watched Totally Killer finally. I forgot that it came out. Like it was one of those things. Like I was off one day and I was like, "Wait, what's out?" Because I know I'm missing. I'm like, "Oh, Totally Killer." Wait, Brian said it was just okay. Well, I'm still gonna watch it.
Well, Sean's whole mind for this whole moving process and thing has been going, because like I remember even that day, I told him like, "Hey, do you watch Totally Killer yet?" And he's like, "No, I'm probably gonna get to it like in the next day or two," and then he just forgot about it.
Yeah, that's precisely my point. Is I am now getting to that point where I'm starting to feel like where Brian keeps forgetting shit. I'm like, how could you forget that? Now I'm forgetting it. Because I went about 2 weeks. It was also because no one talked about it. Like, I didn't see, because, I mean, our boy Amaru, with his bite-sized reviews, I didn't see them talk about it. So it didn't pop up. It wasn't popping up on my feeds anywhere. It didn't seem like anyone was talking about it. Even you barely even mentioned it to me. So it was out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. That and so I finally did watch that, and you're right. It was fine. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I wished it was more than what it was, and I think a lot of that was the young cast was not enjoyable by any means, and I thought that they the killer reveal was just like you had zero build for that. It's almost like you forgot to figure that shit out at the end. You're like, throw it on a dartboard. Okay, that's who the killer is. And then at the very end, they're like, oh, that killer was lame, so we're gonna do this other killer. And it's like, okay, sure. And I mean, I will say this: it did have very much of a kind of almost like the Flash kind of ending with the multiverse thing or changing the past, which I respect for what it did there, where how it did actually change present day shit. Instead of just like, oh, everything went right back to normal. I'm glad that it didn't do that, but it wasn't enough to me to like say, this is a movie that I recommend for people to check out. If anything, it felt like a Christopher Landon. It very much like someone who was trying to be Christopher Landon, but doesn't have.
It wanted to be Christopher Landon, but it wasn't as good as it. Although his last movie, Have a Ghost, disappointed us. So
exactly, but that's because it wasn't. It wasn't the same kind of movies he normally does. It was like him trying to. It was him like wanting to do something different, but people were going, well, yeah, but kind of stick with what you're doing.
I'm really excited to see what he's going to do next with Scream 7. So
I'm excited to see what he does with Scream 7 too, especially with where we left off at Scream 6. So who knows on that? I don't think that's coming out next year, is it?
If it was, it's probably not now. I know it hasn't even started filming yet, so I assume it's not.
Yeah, it's not like Scream 6 where it was like 3 months after Scream 5 was over. They were like, Scream 6 is going to New York. It's like, oh shit.
I think they seem to like that January release date. So I mean, it could still make it like early 2025, but I don't think it's coming out in 2024 now.
Which is fine. I think they need a little space on it to get people, because I think that's what they did with the original trilogy. Was Scream came out and Scream 2 was the next year, and then Scream 3 was 2 years
It was later, 96, 97, 2000.
Yeah, so
and then it went 2011 to 2022.
Yeah, so granted, I don't want it to go to 2026, but 2025 I'd be okay with. In terms of other things I watched, God, I literally just watched it 2 days ago. I'm already spacing on what it was. That doesn't bode well. I'm literally gonna have to go look at my Letterboxd real quick because I'm blanking on what the hell I had watched, because I watched this 2 days ago. I think it was on Prime, but for the life of me now, I can't remember what the hell it was.
Did you watch Pain Hustlers?
Pain Hustlers.
I have not watched that. Is it good?
I watched it yesterday. It's good. It's a very toned down version of Wolf of Wall Street, except instead of being stocks, it's about pain. Fedra or not Fedra. The fuck is the drug?
Opioid crisis thing.
To a point, yeah. I think Chris Evans is good in it. Emily Blunt's great because she's great in everything. Andy Garcia is better in the second half of the movie because he's not in much of the first half. I think it's solid. I think I gave it 4 stars. I think it was like a 78% because even while it was like you're watching it, it's like there's fun. It's not like fun, but it's not boring. Either. You're just kind of watching it, and they're kind of doing it almost like in this documentary kind of approach. Like you have them sitting down, they're talking, like they're telling you what happened, and then you got overviews. But the problem is that they start with that and they end with that, and they don't really do it in the middle. And that's the problem. Is like if you're going to do that, you have to interweave it through the whole film. You can't just drop it in the beginning and the end, and then not do it for like an hour and 30 minutes in the middle because it's like. You're missing the whole point of what you're doing.
It's kind of how I felt like when I was watching Dumb Money. Did you watch Dumb Money?
I still haven't seen Dumb Money yet.
Okay, so that one is kind of the same way, and it's like it was kind of a closer to Big Short than Wolf of Wall Street kind of thing. But it was just like it seemed like at times it was almost like doing a documentary style, and at times it was just a regular movie. But it's like they never kind of committed, and so you kind of felt like they were missing stuff. And, yeah,
kind of like earlier in the year with was it They Clone Tyrone or is it We Clone?
They Clone Tyrone, yeah.
Yeah, it was like where it's like they had a narrator and then they just abandoned it and then the narrator just jumped back in random. It's like if you're gonna do that, you have to do it the whole way through. You can't just because then at that point you're like, I fucking forgot that there was a narrator in this thing. And that's kind of what happened here is that they started. It was very heavy, like they're being interviewed about what the events of what happens in this film, and then they get into the events of the film, and then you don't hear him again until the very, very end. And it's like, no, if you're going to do it, you got to drop it through. But solid casting all the way through. Super weird David Yates is the director. Mr. Harry Potter himself.
He has a weird it's like Harry Potter, Legend of Tarzan, and this, and has he done anything else? I don't know.
There was never a part of the movie as I was watching it going, this is David Yates. It's like, no, it's just like, this was David Yates? Okay. But there's a storyline that they do with the daughter in this, which this is based on true events and it's based on a book. But there's a storyline with the daughter that which seems like it should be a very big, important thing. And they just kind of sprinkle it in whenever the fuck they need to. And they don't really ever give like an end point to it. And at the end of the movie, you're like, so did they fix that or did they not? You really never gave us a conclusion to that storyline because that seems like a very important story element that you added, and you didn't. You just dropped it in whatever the fuck you wanted to, and never gave a conclusion to it. But I enjoyed it for what it was. Is it something that I'd go back and rewatch multiple times? No. But if someone goes, hey, would I like that? Like, did you like Wolf of Wall Street? Yeah. Do you want to see a PG-13 version of that? Actually, it's still rated R because there is nudity in it and cuss words, but it's definitely, if we're talking Wolf of Wall Street, this is a very watered down version of it, but still rated R. But I mean, it's fine. It's fine for what it is. I think if you watch it, you'll be like, yeah, okay.
That's kind of how I feel. Like I said, I've been busy the past week, so I was like, I might watch it, but it's not that I'm in a hurry to see.
The other movie I watched this week was Quiz Lady, which is another one of those that just kind of randomly popped up on a trailer one day, and I was like, okay, I'll watch this, and boom.
Well, because Hulu loves to just dump things with no promotion, like no one will save you.
And Hulu, that's Hulu for you. Yeah, Quiz Lady has got Awkwafina and Sandra Oh, both actresses. Here's the thing, you and me both do this. Whenever we see Awkwafina, we immediately go, ugh. But then we watch it, we're like, she's not bad in this.
Well, honestly, like Awkwafina, she kind of annoys me, especially when she gets into her, trademark Awkwafina kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But so I'm like, oh, she's gonna be in Raya and the Last Dragon, and then turned out she was fine in that. And then she was in like Ocean's 8 or some of these other things, or even now in Renfield, I will say she was the weakest part, but it wasn't because of her personality.
It wasn't her. It was
she didn't match that character.
Yeah. That was definitely not Awkwafina's fault. That was.
But going into this, I wasn't negative on Awkwafina. I was more negative on Sandra Oh, who I've never liked.
Sandra Oh, I watched Grey's Anatomy, so that's where I had and people don't remember this. Fucking Arliss on HBO because
Robert Wool show, right?
Huh?
Robert Wool's.
Yeah, sports agent show. She's one of the mains in that, and that's where I knew Sandra Oh from. So I had that plus Grey. So I like Sandra Oh. Plus Invincible. She's in Invincible, which just came back, and I'm so happy Invincible is back. She plays the mom in that. She's a great actress, but once again, just like Awkwafina, she'll do certain things. Like I never got into Killing Eve. I tried. I watched like the first episode. I was like, I don't care. But Quiz Lady, it's basically a sisters film. You got Awkwafina, who's basically playing not much like her normal self. She's very much like an introvert, like leave me alone. She just works, doesn't kind of is the invisible girl at the office. And she comes home every night and sits next to her pug, which that immediately hooked me because pugs. And she watches this show all about the quiz, or you can't run from the quiz or whatever. And Will Ferrell is the host. Super toned down Will Ferrell, probably the most toned down Will Ferrell I've seen in ages. He never hits his over the top Will Ferrell, which probably will make Brian very happy.
It would have made Barbie better.
Yes. But and her sister, which is Sandra Oh, is the super over the top eccentric, like dark, was a black sheep of the family kind of thing. Their mom is a bad gambler. She goes missing, and Sandra Oh basically is staying with Awkwafina, and Awkwafina kind of uses Will Ferrell's host as like a surrogate father. Like she watched him every night from like age 12 to then, and she's super smart. And so Sandra Oh realizes that, Awkwafina like knows all the answers before any of the contestants do, kind of thing. And it's basically this journey for them to get her on the show and win, because their mom owes like $80,000 in gambling debt, and these loan sharks like steal the pug and basically say, you need to get us the money in 2 weeks or we're going to kill the dog. And so it's them trying to get on the show and stuff. It was fine. I liked it. It was funny. It wasn't like laugh out loud funny, but I was watching it and I was like, I like the characters. I don't hate the story. And like I said, you add this game show-esque kind of element to it. I thought it was a fun Hulu film, which, like I said, Hulu does a horrible job of promoting their movies, but their movies are usually way more sound.
Maybe this was Hulu's original version of their White Men Can't Jump remake. It was supposed to focus on the girlfriend trying to get on Jeopardy.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. It's almost like White Men Can't Jump without any of the basketball. But I thought it was fine. I think once again, there'd be another movie you're like, it was fine. It was fine. I don't think you would actively hate it. If anything, it might just be because it's Sandra Oh's character. But even then, as the movie grows, her character, just like every character that's like that, they drastically kind of like chilled the fuck out, or you start to kind of grow into their quirkiness, or they start to kind of iron their shit out a little bit. But yeah, in terms of that was pretty much it that I've seen movie-wise over this past month. Now, show-wise, obviously we had the end of Ahsoka, which Brian and I are on two different sides of that. I fucking loved Ahsoka with every fiber of my being, but that's also because I'm a Star Wars Clone Wars and a Star Wars Rebels fan. So seeing all these people in live action and the story they were telling made me gleeful while watching it. Brian breezed through as fast as he could before Ahsoka started, and did not have the emotional connections that
I enjoyed Ahsoka very much. I did not nearly as much as you.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the general consensus for anyone watching it who was not a Rebels Clone Wars fan, who had the years and years and years of knowing Ahsoka as a character, and plus the Rebels characters like Hera and Sabine and Ezra and all them. I think anyone who's like that with me is in my boat, where they are loving everything about it. And then there's your boat, which is people who just watch the movies or nothing animated, and they're like, I don't know any of these characters. I have no reason to give a shit about these characters because they're.
I wouldn't say I didn't give a shit about that. I didn't give a shit about like Ezra, for instance, which is a major thing apparently. But my whole thing, spoilers for a show that ended a month and a half ago. My whole thing with Ahsoka is basically this Thrawn and this whole army of his that's going to come apparently into the Star Wars universe. It's all on Sabine's head, man, because she basically sacrificed and let him get there to get him just to save one dude who, instead she's going to kill the whole universe apparently.
Would Leia and Han not do the same thing for Luke though?
I don't know. Now he's going to. If the Empire was gone and they're like, we can bring Luke back, but then we're going to bring back the Empire and kill thousands of millions of other people, whole planets will die. I don't know if they would.
I still think they would. I still think
And that's
they
just
would.
no Luke. Let's be honest. Anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, getting Hayden back. Hayden has been knocking it out of the park.
Hayden's. I love Hayden's redemption arc. I almost. I mean, he can't because he's obviously too old, and apparently his life's messed up. But I almost want to give Jake Lloyd the same redemption arc, but they can't because him at his age now is Hayden's character for Anakin.
Yeah, but
Hayden, it's like people jumped on Hayden for the prequels, and he's one of those guys who, like, I mean, was his acting great in the prequels? No, but I blame that more on the dialogue he was given to say and things like that.
Because I'm sorry, and we love her. Natalie Portman's performances weren't that great. But
Natalie, Liam Neeson, even Ewan McGregor. I mean, he probably did the best with it. But with the lines they're given to say, and it's just like Natalie Portman especially was awful.
Natalie and Ewan's acting skills are here. Hayden's is about here. So when they're reading the same crap, they can make more out of it. Hayden just kind of came off a little whiny, but watching them now, I don't hate his performances in it. It's just the words, which we've deciphered that many through the years of watching this stuff. It's like, I don't blame the act. That's the same problem with Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't think Josh Hutcherson or any of the cast in Five Nights at Freddy's is actively bad. It's the writing and the script in there is bad, and they're acting what they can with it, and it's not very well. Star Wars was the same way, but Hayden, now that it's not George Lucas writing the scripts and shit, and we got, Filoni and people who actually know how to write an actual script, you're seeing Hayden just, and plus the best thing for Hayden is he actually went back and watched Clone Wars and watched how oh God, I'm blanking on his name, the voice actor for Hayden in Clone Wars, who's fantastic. It's Matt. Is it Matt Lautner or Matt Lautner? It's something like that. But he studied that, going, okay, this is how he did Anakin, and he kind of took what he had and took what Matt did, and he melded it into this. So, like, when you were watching him do this new thing in Ahsoka, I felt the Clone War. Anakin. I was like, oh, this is beautiful. Like, Hayden is doing great, and he was great in Obi-Wan.
Well, and I think part of the reason that like Ewan McGregor and Natalie Portman, these people fared better from the prequels, was that people knew them. That was people's 99.9% of people. As their first exposure to Hayden Christensen was watching the prequels. Like, oh, this is how good an actor this guy is. Yeah. It's like, no, that's what he was able to do given that material. But if you've seen things like, Shattered Glass or this week like House he did, I even like him in small roles and things like Takers, things like that. I enjoyed Jumper quite a bit. Yeah.
Jumper was good.
Yeah. So I think that he can be a good actor given good material. And then now they're finally getting to see that.
I feel like I'm hoping, and it's all dependent on him. I'm hoping he gets kind of almost a Brendan Fraser resurgence. Now,
Brendan Fraser, from what I've heard,
he's not gonna get the whale or anything.
But from what I've heard, Brendan Fraser is like laughably the worst thing about Killers of the Flower Moon.
But everyone's saying it's because of Scorsese's directing of his character in the script. It's not. No one's blaming Fraser. They're blaming Scorsese for that. That's what I've heard.
My thing is I love Fraser back in the Encino Man, Mummy days, things like that. It's like he's one of those guys like I'm happy for him, but I have no interest in seeing him now in Resurgence because I don't think he's got whatever.
Yeah. Same thing with Eddie Murphy, which we'll be talking about Eddie Murphy here in a little bit. But yeah, I loved Ahsoka. I know you didn't watch this, so I'll briefly go over it. The Fall of the House of Usher.
I'm through 7 episodes of the 8. I have one more to watch.
Okay, so because you never watched Haunting of Hill House or any of those.
I watched.
Not that you needed to.
I watched Hill House. I did not watch. Was it Bay?
There's Bly Manor. There's Midnight Mass, and then there's the Midnight Club.
Yeah, I did not watch. I have not seen those 3.
Which you don't need to, because each season is its own thing. He uses a lot of the same cast, but there's no.
Yeah, Flanagan has always used a lot of the same cast. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no connective tissue to him, but House of Usher. What are your thoughts? Because you haven't finished it yet, so you're on the penultimate.
I'm almost there because it's one that my wife actually wanted to watch with me, which is rare that she wants to watch anything that I want to watch.
Yeah.
So it's one of those. Part of the reason it took me so long is because I waited. Like I watched an episode or 2, and then had to wait a couple weeks until she was ready to watch another one, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But so we were on vacation together. We watched a few while we were there, and I really do like it. I love this. It's Mike Flanagan. I love his style of it. He obviously has assembled a great cast of actors he likes and he uses over and over again, and I have no problem with that. I love when, like with Fish Called Wanda and Fierce Creatures, things like that. I love when people find actors they love, and it's not sequels, they're connected, but it's just the same troupe kind of thing.
Yeah.
I love the people he's assembled in this. Although I will say Henry Thomas is not a great actor.
He's not. He's not. He really isn't.
but I like the tone of it and like the atmosphere of it. The actual plot of it, I need to see where it ends, where it's going, because I'm like, I don't really know what the point of this is, where it's going, and I'm sure he probably wraps it up in the end, but I'm not there yet. But it's one of those things where I wouldn't say like I'm loving this show, but I really do enjoy watching it, especially for the atmosphere and the style of it.
To make you feel better, it does. It does.
Okay,
trust me. Because I was in the same boat. I was like, where's this all going?
Right.
kind of thing. That's like, because that's the thing, is like, this is basically like, I'm trying to think would we call them like the Trumps? Like, if we're trying to go modern day with it, are they the Trumps, basically?
Yeah, kind of. Because they compare them in the movie to like everything back to the Rockefellers and all these rich families throughout time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like none of them are likable, but the ones that you like the most, they killed off the earliest, so you don't have to do the rest of the show. Like killing is Raph or Raph? I'm trying to remember his the actor's name. I fucking like the guy who gets killed from the cat. Raul Coley. Raul Coley. Am I saying that right?
I don't know.
Okay.
Go with it.
And Kate Siegel, Flanagan's wife. I love those.
Yeah, she went way too early. I was mad about that.
I love those two characters, and they get taken out in like the second and third episode. I was like, no.
But I mean, you got Carla, you got Mary McDonnell in there, you got
Carla Gugino.
Greenwood, I always liked.
Gugino is fucking amazing in this series. But that's the problem is with this watching. You're watching it, and it's like, I fucking hate everyone on this show, but that's because of how they're written and they're acted so like hatefully, like, and I mean that in a good way, And then I think he doesn't ever get enough credit, but Zach Gilford is fantastic in this, as younger Usher. And I think the problem is like you watch it and you hate watch these characters until they get their comeuppance at the end. But I think it's shot beautifully. I love the acting performances of this, even though you don't like the characters, so you kind of just hate watching everybody until they eventually hit their demise. I love the sit down between God, why is my brain not working today? Bruce Greenwood and I'm blanking on the actor that he's talking to. Is it Carl Lumbly?
Oh yeah, I believe that's him. Yeah, he was the one who played
Dr. Sleep.
His role in the shot, and then Dr.
Yeah.
Sleep.
I love their sit down conversations on the nights or the present day set. Mark Hamill is great in this as the lawyer. It looks gorgeous. I love Haunting of Hill House. It's probably my favorite one of his still. I would probably put House of Usher at number 2 by the end of it, with Midnight Mass being like right behind it, with Bly Manor and Midnight Mass or Midnight Club being okay. Midnight Club's the only one that after you watch, you're like, they probably need a second season of that. Every other one ends definitively. Midnight Club, I'm like, oh, are you going to do a second season? Because I feel this feels very incomplete. But I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy how it ends out for you, because I really loved the end of it, because it does tie everything finally up. And I think it was done very, very well.
I will also say I am in the exact same position. Like literally last night, I've caught up. I have one episode left of Gen V as well.
Okay, because I was leading into that. My favorite thing this past month has been Gen V. I fucking love this show so goddamn much. I love The Boys. Brian, I can't remember. Are you a Boys fan, or did you just kind of start watching Boys?
I do. I like The Boys a lot. I don't know if I go as far as I love it, because there are parts of it I love, and the parts of it kind of get like, okay, let's move on.
So I was worried when Gen V was coming out. I think I watched like the teaser for it. I was like, I don't care about a college version of this, but I was like, I'll watch the first episode. Whew, whoa. And I remember because like right after I watched it, because they dropped the first 3 episodes. I watched all 3 episodes, like boom, boom, boom. And I went, Brian, did you watch it? You're like, I'm gonna wait till it ends. I was like, I have no one to talk to about this. And I fucking love this show. I love the characters. I love my favorite's obviously Emma. I love her in this movie or the show. But yeah, the cast of this whole thing, and you haven't so you're right before the finale last week's episode.
Yes, I have only the last episode left. Yes.
That, let's put it this way: there's a warning that pops up right before the episode starts, and I was like, okay, and then you're like, oh yeah, that warning needed to be there. That's rough. That's rough. Yeah, it's and the way it ends, it literally ends in a no, because you're like 2 years away from probably season 2, because I got to do Boys, and then Boys season 4 and goes into Gen V season 2. But I love the cast. The humor, the gore, everything about it is great. I was so hesitant and worried going into Gen V season 1, and it's gotten to the point where it's like, I don't know if I love it more than The Boys, but it's like right there. I just love this young cast. I love how they've built them. Also, I hate watching is it Rufus, the psychic guy? Because he plays a character from Supernatural who I watched for like 5 years, and he's like this innocent like angel baby in that show, and then you go and you watch him in this.
And he's like, Jacob Malfoy with roofies.
Exactly, he's the most despicable fucking douchebag in the show. And then of course the puppeting in this I thought was hilarious. It's like you watch it like, okay, that's a funny gag, and then they keep going back to like, you know what? This works. This freaking works. Yeah, Gen V is fantastic. If you guys have not watched Gen V and you're a fan of The Boys, go out of your way to watch Gen V. If you guys want to watch Gen V and you haven't watched The Boys, you should watch The Boys, because there's things that they bring up in Gen V that's Boys related, especially in the finale. But you're not going to be like lost. You're just going to be like, who's this Homelander guy they talked about?
Well, that's just it. It's like I think you need to get a familiarity with the universe that they're in this show. But I have largely forgotten most specific events in The Boys. Like they'll say something, be like, "Oh yeah, okay, I think I remember that." But it's like for the most part, I don't remember a lot of what has happened in The Boys. But but understanding the universe they're in and getting the references they make, it's like, okay, it does help a little bit to watch this.
Also, but, my favorite cameo of the year, Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy. That minute to 2 minute long cameo.
That was a wonderful cameo.
I was in tears.
And I mean, there's a character that's on in the first couple episodes who they kill off fast, and I'm like, oh, I wish that person could have stuck around longer, because I really like that actor.
Are you talking about GB? I'm abbreviating his name so that way I don't give it away.
No, I don't think so.
You're not talking about number 1?
I don't know who you're talking about, so I guess not.
Arnold's boy.
Oh, that, yeah. Oh no, because he's in a bunch of
the episodes. Because he's in it.
I'm talking about an older character, but but I mean, going into the show, I was a little hesitant, because I'm like, okay, if you take this kind of R-rated kind of filthy kind of humor they have, and now they're gonna go to this college campus setting, like they could have a lot of fun with this. But at the same time, I was looking at this as like, clearly I'm not the demographic. Most shows these days that focus on teens and 20-somethings, like I'm just not interested at all. Just obviously it's not my kind of thing these days. And the cast is pretty much unknowns for the main part, as far as the main characters. And so I was like, but it's World of The Boys, so I'm gonna watch it. And I watched it, and I have really been loving this show. Like I said, I don't remember The Boys well enough to really compare the two of them, because it's been so long since I watched this. But it's like I almost would say that I like this one more.
This one has more of an X-Men feel to it, whereas while this has political stuff in it, Boys is very political.
Well, this one isn't so much political. This one does feel like X-Men, but also feels a lot like New Mutants. In terms of
absolutely.
But this one, instead of being political, seems to be going much better. But seems to be going more for not political so much as social issues, which I will say, I almost feel like at times it feels like they're going over the top, because okay, there's a character whose powers kind of reference bulimia, and there's somebody else who references cutting, there's someone else who references gender identity issues. It's like, okay, we get it. It's a little bit much with everything has to be like, oh, here's a commentary on social issues. But at the same time, it doesn't overwhelm the show. I still enjoy it.
And I think those 3 characters actually work incredibly well as well, especially oh my God, I'm blanking on their names.
I have them in front of me. Who are you looking for? What's that?
He, she.
Jordan.
I wanted to say George. I was like, that's not right. I think those two casting as that one character is great. I thought they were fantastic in it, and I love that one episode. I think it might have been it wasn't episode 7. It was when they were like in the mind, and they actually get to talk to each other. I thought they both integrated that character perfectly well. I'm trying to speak around this.
And for anybody who has not watched the show, he was not being insulting by calling this person he, she. It literally is both genders, and goes by he and goes by she.
The character Jordan can shapeshift between a male version of himself and a female version of himself, and each one has their own power set.
Right. I just wanted to make sure somebody didn't think you were being offensive.
Yeah, no, it's so he literally can choose which gender he wants to be at any given moment. And he can flip back and forth in a span of like a blink of an eye. So it was hard to kind of like he's not transgendered. He's not like they're
it's bigender essentially. Yeah.
They're binary. They're together kind of a thing. I also love the power sets. I think Maria's blood thing, it looks cool as shit. And you haven't even gotten to the finale where she does something super awesome with it. But I love how
she did Rufus with it.
You what?
Like what she did to Rufus with it.
Yeah. Oh my god. Which how is he walking around like normal after that?
Right.
Did someone read this? Did someone read?
Maybe there's a healer on campus. I don't know.
Yeah, there's gotta be because you're just like, how are you walking around? And they're all like chest bump, like, yeah, we did that. I was like, don't applaud that. That is insane.
I love the relation. You know what I really love about on the show is the relationships, because I mean,
well, yeah.
It starts out, you kind of think you're going to have like these really stereotyped cliche characters, but then you realize, especially when they're interacting and some of the relationships and the couples that form and things like that, I believe and enjoy the relationships and every pairing they've done. I especially like Sam. I love the way they've done him. He reminds me a lot by the way of Evan Peters.
He does. He has a very Evan Peters to him.
Absolutely. He does, but his relationship that he gets into on the show,
I love him and
really
Emma
like
together. I think are great. I think their chemistry together is fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gen V. I can't wait for you to watch the finale for that and Usher, and we can talk on it.
I'm watching Gen V after we shoot this, and Usher hopefully tonight or tomorrow. So.
Yeah, and Invincible just came back. It's only been one episode so far. I don't even know if did you even finish Invincible season 1?
I have not finished 1 yet.
Yeah, okay. So I'm not even gonna I'm glad it's back. I'm happy it's back. I went back and rewatched season 1 this week just to get ready for it. I think it's the third time I rewatched it. I'm not gonna speak much on it. I'm just happy it's back. I love that show so much. It took way too long for season 2 to come. Last show that we'll talk about, I have not spoken to you a lick about this. So I don't even know if you've been watching it or if you've liked it or disliked it. Loki season 2. The finale is tonight. Have you watched Loki at all?
I have been watching Loki. I don't know how I feel about it. Honestly, it's very much how I felt about the first season. I think I like the season more than the first, though.
I loved this season.
I like each individual character.
Yeah.
I don't care so much about the storyline and the plot of it, because a lot of it gets into the whole multiversal kind of thing, and which you always know I've hated as a plot device.
Yeah.
So there's that whole thing about it. But I mean, it's like I like the individual characters. I like the individual actors. It's just I find myself trying to care about the story, and I just don't so much.
Here's my question for you: would you have hated it or not? You don't hate it. The multiverse thing. Would you have been negative about it as much if we hadn't already had Quantum Mania and No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness, and this was straight up like we just had Loki season 1 and then Loki season 2, and we hadn't done that stuff yet? Would you have still been in that same mindset?
I still don't like the whole multiverse idea.
Is it because of it in general, or is it because of how the fans have been acting when anything multiverse happens?
Oh no, well that makes that the fans. I try to separate that because the fans are stupid.
Yeah.
When they try and predict every single character who's ever existed is going to pop up in this cameo,
and then get mad when they don't.
That whole thing, like even because like No Way Home, I love No Way Home. I think it's, aside from maybe the Spider-Verse movies, the best Spider-Man film there is.
I agree. I'm just talking about because that's a multiverse.
But at the same time, I'm like, I still hate the multiverse idea. But I mean, at least it was done well, and I enjoyed it within the film. But I hope it doesn't carry over in anything.
Mm-hmm.
But
If anything, all it did was
goes,
reset
I think
Spider-Man.
as far as Loki goes, it's the kind of thing where I think I wouldn't like it any less if it hadn't already done, but I don't think I'd like it anymore. I think I'd still be like, I like these characters. I'm enjoying watching the show, but I'm just like, don't care about the main plot. That's all.
If anything, this makes me just want to pretend Quantumania never happened. So that way, this is still the Kang that we are coming off of, because Loki built Kang up to this huge threat, and then Quantumania dinged him bad. And now we're trying to build him back up again as this threat, which Kang hasn't popped up on the show yet.
Well, it's kind of has, but Marvel's whole problem at this point is like with the King that showed up in Quantumania. It's like, yes, it was just
fine. It was more the end point of
well, and he was just a King, and apparently there's so many of them, and they're all very different and things like that. But when the first, like you said, the first thing you see after building up as a threat is this kind of disappointment of a character, you're just like, oh well, now I don't know if I care so much about where this thing is going.
We're not disappointed in Jonathan Majors' performance of Kang in Quantumania. It was more how they ended the film with Kang, and then the post-credit scene was atrocious, which once again, none of that was Jonathan Majors' fault. It was more where they went with the writing with it and the end point of it, that by the time we get back to Loki season 2, you're like, yeah, but we already know this kind of thing. It just makes me feel like if I was going to go back and do a complete rewatch of the MCU, which that's a mountain to climb right there, I would pretty much, you would put Loki probably right after Endgame, because he gets transported straight from Endgame. I would go Loki season 1, then Loki season 2, because they're like they're continuation of each other. Then it would probably be like, was it Black Widow?
Well, Black Widow's a prequel.
But they have scenes that predate Endgame, and shit like that. But I wouldn't, and then I would almost take Ant-Man Quantumania and just, hide it back here until we know that if we need to have that in there.
Here's the problem with the MCU, and I mean, this is not news. People are having this discussion forever now. It's like their need to be interconnected has gone from building up to this big thing in Endgame to now being like a weight that's on all these films.
Well, because everything's inevitably building to X-Men Fantastic Four. That's the next Endgame.
Well, I almost think they should have just moved on to building that world, because the problem is that, like, now they're digging into like their D-list characters, or even the sequels they're doing with some of these like Doctor Strange and Thor and things like that. They aren't living up to the old ones, and I think a large part of that is that they're feeling like they need to build into this greater good instead of just being. And like, if you showed me, I don't know, Ant-Man and Quantumania, and this is just a standalone superhero film, like the old days when they made Spider-Man films, they made X-Men films, they made whatever. It's like this, it'd be fine. But because you're trying to, everything has to feel like it's leading to this, and then people are watching movies going, well, how does this connect to anything? Where is this leading? It's like, it doesn't have to. It can just be its own thing. But it's like, it feels like that interconnectedness went from being a plus to now being a weight on all these movies.
It's going to be. I mean, and more or less, that could be because of Kevin Feige's design, but it's also because the fans put that pressure and that weight on it.
Well, it's the fans, and also I think Disney, because Disney, when they made Disney Plus, had this mandate of they wanted to churn out something constantly. They even said they wanted to have something at all times. So if it's on a movie theater, there should be a show in Disney Plus, then a show in a movie theater. They wanted to always have something Marvel going on. And it just became too much, and they made too much, and they've come back now and said, we're going to decide we're going to pull back and make less shows and things like that, which is, I think, a super smart move. They just recently announced this past week that they're creating this banner called Marvel Spotlight, which I guess the Echo show is going to be the first thing to be a part of that, where it's like they're basically saying, you don't need to think about this as part of the continuity. We're just making a Marvel character, a Marvel show. I think it's odd they chose her to do that first with, since it's already connected to some other shows.
It is. It's connected to Hawkeye and then goes directly into Daredevil.
But I think it's a smart move. If it were me, I would retroactively say, you know what, the Eternals, that's a Marvel Spotlight.
Well, that's the thing is, you can, with Loki cutting all these, branches, you can get rid of them. You can get rid of the Eternals. You can get rid of, hey, everything since Endgame or since No Way Home has not got it rid of. Doctor Strange is Multiverse of Madness. That shit got abolished, and all this shit got taken out. And
I would love if they used Loki that way to try and clean up the mess. But the problem is, then it's them saying, "Yeah, we know our last stuff sucked," and that would look badly on them. So I don't think they're going to do that.
DC's doing it. DC did it like 3 times over. Marvel can admit,
but then look at the reputation DC has now because of it.
Marvel's got too much, built up clout more than the DC does, so they can get away with that if they want to. But back to Loki in general, I've loved how they've been doing the season. I think everyone cast wise, Ke Kwan as OB has been fucking great. I was like, oh, this feels like a cash grab. Like they just threw him in there just to be like a funny. And then he's been in every. I've loved him.
Yeah, I was afraid he was only gonna be in that first episode or two, and then he's probably the best part of the show for me.
Jonathan Majors as Victor Timely, I thought was eccentric and way different than what we know. Who knows what's gonna happen with that situation? I honestly hope. I don't want to say I hope we keep him because then people are like, oh, you approve him. Just shut the fuck up. I'm talking about the performances of the character, but he's so good. I don't want the King thing to just be because they're talking about like retroactivating King and then having it be Doctor Doom now as the main threat, and then the whole King thing was neutered. I was like, so basically you're saying that Quantumania did destroy the King character. I think Hiddleston, I think he gets paid by the hair flip in this because I swear to God,
hair a lot.
Every time, everyone's like, dude, you had whiplash. Like, calm down. The only character, Owen Wilson is great in it. Oh God, what's his name? From Blindsiding.
Rafael Casal.
I fucking love him in this. He's so good as Brad. I love his interactions with Hiddleston in this. The only character to me that feels kind of out of focus is
Sylvie.
Yeah, Sylvie. I almost said
I didn't ever like her in the first season, and so this one she seems like she's kind of an afterthought anyway. So it's like, why even have her then?
It's just more or less like they keep. It's like Hiddleston's Loki is like an autopilot until Sylvie comes into play, and then it's whatever her actions dictate changes Loki's mindset. And it's just like, don't just stay Loki, just do Loki, and then don't worry about Sylvie. And that's, I think, hopefully by the end of this last episode, because the finale's tonight, that'll be the thing. Because I don't think the Sylvie character brings much. I think it was a mistake to have the Sylvie character. I don't dislike her as a performance. I just think that by doing this, you're trying to force a love story with this, and I don't think anyone really needs Loki to have a love story. I think you just need to let Loki. Loki's love story is Mobius.
Loki says himself.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, is that he loves himself because Sylvie is him, but with lady.
It's more of a romance with Mobius, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, but yeah, it's more or less like you threw the Sylvie character in there for love interest, but I care about the story of Mobius and Loki. Like, I care about their friendship. That's the relationship right there, is those two. But I've liked the tight knitness of the episode. Now, in terms of what I've heard big complaints is like, nothing's happened. We're still like 5 minutes after season 1. So I don't care. The stories have been fun because I got worried. I got worried when Loki started, because I think I started reading reviews and they were giving it like a 5 out of 10 and stuff, and saying like this was bad. And so I went in with like, oh crap, here we go. But the first episode was fantastic, and they just kept building from there. Not everything works, but it works mostly for me. And every time I'm watching, I'm happy with what I see. I'm bummed that it ends tonight because I want more of this story because it's interesting. I know you don't like the multiverse stuff, but I think because you have Ke Kwan and all of them interjecting with this, it's working for me. I am actually more invested in this than I've been since season 1. Because season 1 I thought started I think it started strong. The middle just was kind of running its paces, and then we got to the Kang episode, which I was fully enthralled in. So it was like Loki was fine. It kind of treaded its feet in the middle. And with season 2, I've loved everything they've done season 2 wise. But yeah, well, what are your thoughts with that?
Yeah, I'm curious to see where they're going to end it, because I assume, because it don't seem like they're wrapping much up, that it's going to be a season 3 of Loki. I know most of their shows, Marvel, I think, does is more like one shots. It's more like, here's a special event miniseries kind of thing. And then in this case, it seems like this is one show where they decided they're going to make it an ongoing thing. So I imagine there'll be a season 3. Of course, we don't know because we haven't seen the finale. Yeah. But I do want to see where it goes. Like I said, especially with Ke Kwan, some of these people, I like some of the characters so much that I want to keep going. But then there's other ones like Sylvie and honestly, even Mobius, I'm kind of ambivalent on. He's fine, but if we never saw him again, it wouldn't be a big deal to me. I think that Loki for me feels like the problem with Marvel TV shows, in that I feel like they're unnecessary. I like them. I think I like Marvel TV shows best when they are, here's a character who we don't think we could make a movie about because it's not big enough, or if they do like a little spin-off like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier kind of thing, or things like that. I think that's what we best used for. It's like maybe some of the deeper cut characters that Marvel has that we want to do something with, but they're not maybe not going to get a movie. But then by making it part of this thing where it, again, has to play into the continuity of the whole thing, I'm just like, I don't know.
All right. Yeah, like I said, we'll see how it ends out tonight. Maybe next week when we shoot, we'll maybe talk about the Gen B finale and last Usher, and that goes with our TV part of the show.
It'll be the finale episode. There you go.
Yes. Trailers. I think there's one trailer that you and I have both watched this past week that we are both equally excited for, and that is Fall Guy.
The Fall Guy. Yeah. So the Fall Guy. Did you watch the TV show? It's probably too old for you.
No, I never watched the show.
Is Lee Majors, Heather Thomas, one of those Heathers? Yeah, Heather Thomas, I think it was. So and it was one of those typical 80s shows. This happened to be a stuntman. They kind of go and like every week they'd be helping out a different person who's like in trouble with bullies or the law or whatever. And it was a typical 80s TV show. And I watched that show. I was into that kind of stuff when I was a kid. So like the A-Team and all those other ones. This trailer for me, besides the fact he's a stuntman, bears almost no resemblance to the TV show. But I'm okay with that. It's not the kind of TV show that you needed a direct adaptation for. Number one for me, David Leitch directing. This is one of the guys behind John Wick, did things like Atomic Blonde, things like that, Hobbs and Shaw. He's directing this. He clearly knows how to do action. So I know that's in good hands. It's going to look awesome. It's going to be fun action. It's going to be crazy action. Love that. Ryan Gosling in this, not only do we get to see Ryan Gosling, who we know is a good actor, his character seems very much like he's almost back in that nice guys mode. He's got that same kind of humor to him and stuff. And how much I love nice guys. So I'm loving him in it.
I really need to go back and rewatch Nice Guys. I only watched it the one time and I wasn't crazy about it, but it seems like everyone else loves it. So I might need to give Nice Guys a second chance.
You have not watched Nice Guys again? Oh my gosh.
No, it's always one of those. It's like I've been meaning to always go back and rewatch, and then I never do.
Oh yeah, I think you will love it more because like the Nice Guys. The first time I watched, this is a little bit of a tangent. I'll make it short. When the first time I watched Nice Guys, I'm like, oh, this is funny, but it's not what I was expecting coming off Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. But then as I rewatched it, Nice Guys, I think I like more than Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and I've really come to love that movie. Shane Black, of course. So I'm in love.
Yeah, of course.
But as far as Fall Guy, Emily Blunt, who we've already said is great in everything she does. I think this is the perfect level for me of Emily Blunt. It's like super serious, like drama Emily Blunt. I'm kind of like, she's a great actress, but I don't necessarily care so much. If she gets in the family films, it's a little bit too over the top for me. But this is kind of that perfect level for me of Emily Blunt. So I'm looking forward to this. The trailer, I think, looked very good and made me very... I was already anticipating it, but it made me anticipate it even more. And I know it did that for you.
Yeah, this was... I remember, because we were talking about earlier this year, like we were going over anticipated. And we were kind of pre-talking about most anticipated for next year. And this popped up and we just read, and you were like, oh, David Leitch, I'm there for this. I'm like, all right. It's like, and it got to the point where it's like, the trailer dropped, and I was like, I have no idea what this is, because I forgot. And then I was watching it, and I was like, okay, funny Gosling, I'm there for that, because funny Gosling's great Gosling. Emily Blunt, I'm already there for that. And then you're watching the actual trailer, and I loved how they just kept, what's it called? Music dropping Bon Jovi through it.
Needle drops? Yeah.
Yeah, needle drops. I love that. I love the way of the action. Like, it almost had like granted it's because they're on a set, but like almost like Mad Max Fury Road vibes to it. I loved that. Of course, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Give me more.
Yes, I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, is I actually think I think Craven getting pushed back actually is going to help it now, because you're going to get him in this again. Another little brief, I don't know how much he's going to be in the movie, and then have that lead into Craven actually is going to work. Whereas like with Craven, you would have had a whole movie with him, and whether or not Craven was success or not was going to lead into this. Now you don't have whether Craven's good or bad hurting this in any way. But like everything about this trailer, it was like a 3.5 minute long trailer, which is a long trailer for us. But yeah, I was excited. I was telling Brian, I was like, this went from like a okay to like in my top 5 for like anticipated next year. I am excited as hell for this movie. I can't wait to see it. And I think I've rewatched that trailer like 4 times already. I've shown it to like everybody. It's like, you gotta watch this trailer. You gotta watch this trailer. It looks so cool. It looks so good. Dropped today. Actually, before we go to that, just because we were already on Marvel, the Echo trailer. I think you and I both were like, I could give a rat's ass about Echo, but damn, that Echo trailer was strong. That brought me back to Daredevil Netflix days, and I love Daredevil and Punisher on Netflix. I'm watching and going, this is going to be on Disney Plus, because this felt very much like R-rated Netflix. It's one of those things where it was like, I can't remember the exact quote from Django Unchained from Leo. It was like, you've piqued my curiosity, kind of thing. I was not like Echo, whatever. Now that you watch the trailer, I'm paying attention now.
Yeah, I have my curiosity. Yeah.
Yes, you have my curiosity, and knowing that this is probably going to lead into Daredevil, I'm ready for it, and just how brutal it looked. Hell yeah.
That's the big question mark, is because it's a character that came from Hawkeye, and then it's going to lead into Daredevil, we know, because of Kingpin, and yet this is the one they're calling the Marvel Spotlight, where it doesn't necessarily involve continuity. I'm very confused by their whole strategy here.
I mean, but like you said, She-Hulk might as well be Spotlight too, because I still don't know where the hell She-Hulk falls into anything.
I think, especially because of She-Hulk's way of breaking that fourth wall, I think that I wouldn't mind seeing more She-Hulk if done right, in that they could put her in like that Deadpool kind of thing, where they aren't part of the universe. They're kind of a parody of the universe. Where they,
if they were more like, is it the Watcher that is in the Marvel cartoon thing, where it's like, oh, if Star-Lord was Black Panther, what if? Thank you. If they have like Deadpool and She-Hulk be more like a Watcher character, where it's like they're there but they're pulled out.
Well, that's what I'm considering. Like I think Deadpool's a perfect example, because Deadpool is technically in the X-Men universe, but he's really not. You kind of know it's like a meta thing, kind of looking down, and it doesn't actually exist in the official universe. Yeah. And She-Hulk would be better off done like that. But that's a whole tangent. As far as Echo, I watched this. I still don't care about the Echo character herself. I'm like, I
care about the show that's around her.
I don't care about her having a show. But the trailer was very well done, and they're dropping it apparently on Disney Plus and Hulu at the same time, all at once.
Yeah, all at once.
All at once. So the fact that putting it on Hulu as well makes you wonder if it's going to be more of a. I think I heard it's going to be like a MA.
Yeah, it's going to be TVMA.
So it's going to be nice and dark and gritty. It won't necessarily be as Disney-fied as some of the other stuff has been. So, like you said, I was ambivalent. I was the kind of thing I was going to watch, but I was kind of ambivalent about. Now I'm intrigued. So
yeah. Dropped today is the movie that Brian kept saying was not going to come out. And granted, he was right. It did get pushed back, but that was because of the writer's strike. It wasn't because the movie
wasn't going to make it anyway.
Will fight you on it. But he's wearing the shirt. And that is Ghostbusters. They dropped their trailer today. What's the full name? It's Ghostbusters.
Frozen Empire?
Is it Empire? I'll have to look real quick. It's Frozen something.
Yeah, Frozen Empire.
Is it Frozen Empire? It just seems like a weird title for Ghostbusters.
It is.
Yeah, Frozen Empire. I mean, I'm excited. I loved Ghostbusters Afterlife. I liked almost everything about it. I'm glad that they're back in New York for this. I like this the frost element of this. I love that they already showed everybody is in this, so you don't have to wait for when are they going to show? Are they going to be in it? No, they're in it. They're all in it. We know they're in it. I like that we got to see them in the suits. They're not tinkering around with it. It's like, no, they're all Ghostbusters now. Like they're in this.
Even the mom was in a suit.
Yeah, even the mom and Paul Rudd and the kids, they were all in the suits at the end. So we don't have to wait around for that, or won't they? Nope, it's going to happen. And they're in new suits too. So they have that red, orangey,
red and black,
like thermal suits, basically. I liked how it looked, and this was just a teaser. And much like how you and I are, I'm fine with just seeing this and not seeing anything else. We know we're going to get like 2 or 3 more trailers of this, which at that point it's up to you and me to either watch or try to steer clear of. But I liked what we saw of it, and I'm excited. Now that I've actually gotten a trailer for it, I can actually move this into my anticipated and move it up on my list for next year. Your thoughts
Yeah, well, it's. I feel about this teaser the same way I felt about the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer when I saw it, which was that the trailer itself, watching this, did not blow me away. It didn't like make me any more excited for the movie than it was. But I was already looking forward to the movies, and I have nothing negative to say about it either. It's like okay, here's my teaser, a little look of what it's going to be. But I was already going to see it, and I liked Ghostbusters Afterlife a lot, and I think I'm probably going to like this one a lot. Just the trailer, the content of it didn't excite me any more than I already did. But then again, like I said, that's the way we were for the first teaser for Afterlife as well, and it is just a teaser. Like you said, I do like the fact we get glimpses of like the original cast that's going to be in there. I feel like they are going to, rightfully so, be just kind of there as an advisory role. They aren't going to try and make them. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I honestly kind of hoped Winston would be like the biggest part of them all.
I'm hoping he is too. He might very well be.
He might well be. But we see Dan Aykroyd there. We see Bill Murray there. But I think that they're going to be almost more of an advisory role. I don't think that they're going to be going out on the action so much. Although you do see them briefly in like the old.
Well, they probably need him at the end just for the big battle.
Yeah, but I'm glad that it's not going to try and go back to the well and try and force them into it. Just let the new cast kind of do their thing. Yeah. I'm very happy about that. So yeah, it's I'm looking forward to it, and not any more than I already was, but solid.
And I agree. Afterlife's teaser was greatly disappointing to me because it wasn't the movie that we thought we were going to get. The trailer was better than the teaser was. The teaser was like, what the fuck is this? Small town, blah blah blah.
Well, like I was talking to you behind the scenes earlier, in that the thing is with this new Ghostbusters, and the first one with Afterlife, you thought it was just this film, and now that we've seen a sequel to it, we kind of know that Ghostbusters fans can now just know and accept that this is the new tone of the series as it's going to be, because it's like the old ones, like the original Ghostbusters 2, were a very kind of broad, all-out, wacky comedy kind of thing, and these new ones, I mean, they still have comedy to them, quite a bit of it actually, but it's definitely not that same tone, and this is the new tone, and that's not a bad thing. It's just different. Like you said, we watched that first teaser, it wasn't what we were expecting. We just have to adjust what we're looking for in it.
Yeah, it's definitely jumping up my list. It's not above Fall Guy, but that's because this is a teaser. Fall Guy was a straight trailer. Maybe we'll get
Fall Guy is one of those, because this comes out like February, March.
Did they actually drop a release date for Ghostbusters? I don't know if they did.
Oh no! I was talking about Fall Guy.
Oh, Fall Guy's March 1st.
Yeah, so that one, like, we're 3-4 months out. They dropped a full trailer for it. Ghostbusters. I want to say is also February, March.
Just says 2014 or 2024 right now. It doesn't have an actual date yet.
But I'm pretty sure that one's like February, March.
March 29th.
Yeah, there is.
So it's the end.
But that's kind of a bigger known property, so they're going to do a teaser and a trailer, whereas Fall Guy is probably just going to have the one main trailer. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to both of those.
But yeah, same director too is back for that. In terms of other trailer,
Ghostbusters?
Yeah, Ghostbusters.
Oh, no, it's not.
Yeah, it's Gil.
Jason Reitman directed the first one.
Okay, well, Reitman and Gil both are writing this one.
Right. Yeah. He was the writer and a co-producer, I think, as well. He's directed, so it is somebody still involved with the first one.
Yeah. Reitman's still writing this one with Gil, but Gil's directing it now and not Reitman. So it's still the same group of people. It's just And at that point, if Reitman's writing it and he directed the first one, they're basically co-directing. Just say co-directing. Like, come on, let's.
It's like George Lucas not directing Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. He's he's there.
Like,
his hands on.
His hands are all over it. Just like you might as well put Foggy as a co-director for every MCU film. Foggy's hands are in everything.
Well, at least in the early days. Now I feel like he's too spread thin.
It's like James Gunn's going to be for every DC movie for foreseeable future. It's like you might as well just say co-directed by James Gunn. In terms of other trailers, I mean. I was saying this to you the other day. Holy Christmas, Batman. There's like 8 fucking... And I'm not talking about the Hallmark crap where we get these 20, 30 new Christmas movies every year that no one ever watches. But I'm talking about like actually like movie. There's like 6 Christmas movies coming out this year. I mean, you got like... what was it? It's a Wonderful Knife, which I thought was... I actually like that title. I actually really like the title. You got Dashing Through the Snow. You got Family Switch. There's
Candy Cane Lane.
What Candy Cane Lane? Genie is technically a Christmas movie on Peacock as well.
And there's no trailer yet. I imagine any day now, but Red 1
Yeah,
the Rock one.
I still don't think it's coming out this year.
Well, then I don't think they're gonna hold it for a whole year.
I don't know, man. I feel like we would have gotten something.
Unless their reasoning is we're gonna hold it for a full year because we want The Rock and these people to be able to promote it like on talk shows.
I feel like that's what it's gonna be. I feel like they're gonna.
But it is Netflix, and Netflix often like will put out their December movie trailers on like November 18th. So it would not surprise me. I still think it's coming this year.
But yeah, tons of Christmas movies. I think I've watched trailers for all of them, except for obviously Red One because we don't have anything. It's a Wonderful Knife. If it was Christopher Landon, I would be front and center for it. I don't know how to feel about that one. I really don't.
It definitely is in this new genre of movies that want to be Christopher Landon movies, which pleases me to no end. By the way, I will see.
Yeah, everyone wants to copy him.
Right, and for good reason. And there'll be bad ones, and there'll be good ones, and there'll be everything in between. And that's fine. It's a new tone of horror movie that I really like. So I'm really looking forward to that. Justin Long is
with the
hit and miss in this phase of his career, but I'm hoping I'll like him in this one.
Mm-hmm. So, hey, I've enjoyed the little parts he's in the Goosebumps. That's another show I was watching over this past month. Is Goosebumps.
You know, I didn't know the show existed until about 2 weeks ago.
You what?
I didn't know the show existed until about 2 weeks ago.
What, Ghostbusters or Goosebumps?
I knew Goosebumps, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's got like 2 episodes left. It's fine. It's a solid teenager Goosebumps show that doesn't try to be too kiddie with it. But Justin Long, he's got brief like 1 to 3 scenes in each episode, and I think he's cheesing it up like in the best way. But yeah, he's definitely gonna be cheesing it up here, and It's a Wonderful Knife. Basically, the premise of that, from what I can tell, is a girl stops a serial killer, and then she does the whole like I wish I was never born kind of thing, and then basically like she finds out that since she didn't stop the serial killer, no one did, and you find out that the killer is like the mayor, which is Justin Long, and so like it's basically a kill town kind of thing. Yeah. So intriguing premise. It's more the cast that hasn't really locked me in on it yet, so it's definitely one I'll check out. But I do it's unique, it's different, it's something. Like I said, if you take something that we all know and you do something different with it and you actually attempt it and make it look good, I'm all there for it. And you take It's a Wonderful Life and you make it a horror or like a horror comedy, that's a mashup I didn't know I wanted or needed. But if
it's also something that I love, which you hardly get anymore these days, the internet, especially somebody like me who's on it a lot, is that this movie came out of nowhere for me. I never heard of this movie until all of a sudden like, oh, this is coming out next month. I'm like, okay, I'll take it.
It's not even next month. It's
next week. It's the week.
Yeah, it's next week.
Like
it's 2 days. It's 2 days.
Yeah.
I don't think it's in my theaters though. So I don't know when I'm going to see it because
you should check because it seems to be a fairly wide release. So I don't know.
I'll check my theater right now. I do not think I'm getting it. I'll even check my big theater. I do not believe because Marvels and holdovers. I don't know if this is going to be released in my area. Here's the big theater.
But no, I will almost guarantee you though this will be on digital before Christmas.
Oh,
it is one of the ones that will have a quick release.
Absolutely, you're missing out if you haven't done it. You also got Dashing Through the Snow. That doesn't look appealing to me at all. With Little Rel Howery and Ludacris. I watched the trailer. Yeah. I thought it was a show. First off. It's not. Also, season 2 of the Santa Claus. The first season was atrocious. I'm definitely not even going to remotely try watching season 2. You also got Family Switch, which you actually are excited for. I actually watched that trailer. It looks fun.
I don't think that's what I was excited for. It looks interesting. It looks fun because like I see the cast and the concept. I'm like, okay, it sounds like a typical family holiday film kind of thing. But yeah, I do enjoy it. It looks like it could be worth a watch.
And then there's Genie on Peacock, which Melissa McCarthy, she either works or she doesn't work. I don't think you saw the trailer for this.
I know nothing about that.
It takes place in Christmas time in New York. This guy is down on his luck. His wife and his kid have kind of like moved out. He finds this random. It's not a lamp. He finds this thing and he rubs it, and a genie comes out, and it's Melissa McCarthy. Great. And yeah, the trailer. She's a little wacky. She's her Melissa McCarthy wife. It doesn't seem like it seems like real fast that they kind of toned her down. And then she tries to help him, win his family back, stuff like that. And it takes place around Christmas time. So technically it's a Christmas movie. It's a Peacock release. I think that's around Thanksgiving. I'll check it out. I'm not expecting huge things, but I didn't hate the trailer. But it is a Christmas movie. And then I feel like I'm missing one. Oh yeah, Candy Cane Lane. Yeah. They just released a new trailer for that today. Eddie Murphy, man, he's trying. He's trying. It's just every time he comes out with something new, I'm just not. I don't care. Like, this is still him trying to do family films. And
yeah, it's like, I don't know if he's one of those people who like had kids. Like, I want to make movies my kids want to see, or what his reasoning in is, because whenever he does something that's not for kids, whenever he shows up in Dreamgirls, or he does that, Dolomite is
my name, yeah,
and those kind of things, people like, they love those and they praise him for his roles in those. But then he goes back to the well. I mean, maybe they're just paychecks. Maybe that's what he's looking for. But he goes back to these family films, which they're harmless, but they aren't usually good.
Yeah.
And so, and like Beverly Hills Cop 4 or Beverly Hills Cop Foley, that was originally supposed to be coming out at the end of this year. I'm sure at this point we would have heard about it. So I'm pretty sure now it's next year sometime.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's what the Eddie Murphy people want to see again. It's like this, we don't want more of this because we've seen this for the past 20 years and we don't love it.
Maybe he feels like he's just not that kind of funny anymore, that rated R comedy funny. I don't know. It's just, I watched the trailer for it. I don't think it's going to be actively bad.
It's like another harmless but completely forgettable Christmas movie.
Exactly. It doesn't really do anything to spike the needle one way or another for me to want to check this out or just catch it randomly one day when I'm bored.
It is a little bit of a step back for me though for name.
Eddie Murphy? Fuck. From Workaholics and Brittany Runs a Marathon.
Yes.
Jillian Bell.
Thank you. I'm like, I can't remember her name. But Jillian Bell, it's like, it seems like she's going back to her like cliched same old character. I'm like, oh, come on.
The new trailer, which you said you're not going to watch, she is in a lot more of that.
In a good way or a bad way?
Her role seems bigger than what we thought it was.
Okay.
I will say that. Her role definitely seems bigger. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing is entirely different. Jillian Bell also is going to be in Good Burger 2, which is probably going to be bad. The first one, you watch it for the nostalgia for the people who.
Well, that's just it. Is for people who love the old Good Burger, maybe they'll love this one. I have zero interest in it, but I don't even think I ever saw the first one.
I watched all that with the Good Burger skits. I enjoyed them. The first Good Burger movie is so bad, but nostalgia wise, I enjoyed it for what it is, but I know it's a shit film. Good Burger 2 is gonna be awful, but it might be one of those things like, oh, I remember liking the first movie when I was a kid and dumb and didn't think of anything of it, but I'll be like 5 minutes in and going, I can't watch this. So I'm not expecting good things out of that. Lisa Frankenstein. They dropped a trailer for that recently. It doesn't come out until next year, but I like Catherine Newton. The trailer is a Cole Sprouse from Big Daddy and
one of those Sprouses. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of them. You said it reminded you of Warm Bodies. It reminded me of My Boyfriend's Back from like the early 90s.
I could see both of those. It reminded me a lot of Warm Bodies. It's written by Diablo Cody, who I usually like her stuff. Even if it gets a little bit too, trying to be clever with the dialogue. But then again, so does like Kevin Williamson with the Scream movies, things like that. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But again, I like Catherine Newton, so I'm gonna check it out. I think it'll be fine. I hope it pleasantly, surprises me and is even better than I expected. But we'll check it out.
Did you see the trailer for Leave the World Behind?
I saw a trailer. I feel like what I saw was more of a teaser.
Yeah, they came out with a new trailer earlier this week.
Yeah, I probably won't watch that because I'm just gonna watch the show at this point.
Yeah, I think it's a movie.
Yeah, that's I correct
myself. Oh, okay. I was like, that's not a show.
But I already know I'm gonna watch it, so I'm not gonna bother watching another trailer for it.
Cast wise.
It's odd because is it Netflix? It's a streaming movie.
I think it's Netflix.
But it's a major cast of big names. Yeah.
Julia Roberts, Virgil Ali, Ethan Hawke, Kevin Bacon.
And it seems like it's I mean, I don't know specifically the plot of the movie, but it seems like
it's almost it's like a cyber terrorist attack or cyber
it's like this end of the world thriller kind of thing going on, it seems like, but it's like it's not something you'd think a lot of these actors would be a part of with Ethan Hawke and Julia Roberts and stuff. So I'm very intrigued by that one.
And that is December 8th on Netflix. Okay. So that will be here in exactly a month from today.
Speaking of people done stuck in ruts playing family films, Mark Wahlberg has come out with a family plan which I said looks like a family version of True Lies. Um, uh, Mark Wahlberg has been kind of turned this corner. He even said he wants to start making more of these like inspirational movies, like that. Was it Father Joe? He was in things like that.
Yeah.
He wants to do a lot more of those, and he's been doing a lot of like these family films, like this and Instant Family and things like that. It's like they're usually fine movies, but it's just like I wish he'd kind of get out of this rut and go back to making different movies. But.
Yeah, I don't really care about Father Joe. This looks
like Stu. That's what Stu. Sorry.
Yeah, Father Stu. This could be fun. Adding Michelle Monaghan in it. I love Michelle Monaghan. So knowing that she's playing the wife in this, I'm willing to check it out just because she's in this movie. If she was not in this, I'd probably be like, eh. But adding her to it, and Wahlberg looks like he's kind of. Here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping this is like him going back to his like the big hit. Like, because he's kind of like that character, but now he's got a family and stuff. If he can bring just half the energy he had in the big hit, I'm gonna love this movie.
Big Hit Mark Wahlberg is my favorite Mark Wahlberg.
Yes, if anyone who's never seen that,
you know what I would love to do? I'd love to find out that this is a backdoor sequel, and like he was recruited by the CIA after that.
If this is that, this is really like, okay, I am in for this movie, because that's the first thing I thought about. I was like, wait, he's an international assassin. That's kind of what his character. I mean, he wasn't international, but he was an assassin, or kind of like a one of those guys. This could easily be the same character. And if he's not, I might just make my brain think he is.
You're right. As soon as you said that, I'm like, if I watch it with that mindset, I will enjoy this movie a lot more.
You know what? We might just do that in our own brains. He had to change, because clearly, actually, you know what? We're doing it already. Why? Because even in the trailer, he has to change his identity because they keep finding him. So you know what? He is that character who is constantly having to change. Boom. This is the Big Hit sequel. I'm excited for Family Plan now. Big Hit Part 2. Hell yes. I'm now excited to watch this movie. Whether it's good or bad, I'm playing it with that mindset. I'm tricking my brain. It's like eating something healthy and pretending that it's like chocolate. This is what I'm doing. This is how it's going to work for me. So
that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And they did miss the opportunity. Instead of having to sing Vanilla Ice, he should have been singing Good Vibrations or Marky Mark. But
that's at first I was like, is he singing Marky? I was like, no, this is Vanilla Ice.
He won't. He hates when anyone brings that up. Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, he could have been singing like New Kids on the Block or some shit like that. There's also a movie called Finest Kind. It's got, once again, a cast of people that we like. It's got our boy, oh my God, Ben Foster. It's got, oh wow, my brain's going. What's that?
What's it called?
Finest Kind, but it's one word.
I've never heard of this movie. Jenna Ortega, Jake Gyllenhaal, Zendaya, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, it's on Paramount Plus. It comes out this month. Or is it next month? I'm trying to find it.
I've never heard of this movie. Interesting.
December 15th on Paramount Plus. I watched the trailer a few weeks back, and for the life of me, I cannot remember what it was about. But I saw the cast, and I was like, I wonder if Brian's seen this. I thought it was a show when I watched the trailer for it, but no, it's a movie.
It's a crime drama thriller. The young one caught in the middle of an organized crime syndicate. Written and directed by Brian Helgeland, who did things like Knight's Tale and Payback and stuff. Yeah.
So there's that. That's coming out. I figured with Ben Foster, I would be like, I'm intrigued by this. Then there's we finally got an actual long trailer for Napoleon. I know you have no interest in that because of Joaquin Phoenix. I like the trailer.
I'm going to see it because of Ridley Scott, and it'll be a nice big battle epic kind of thing. But Joaquin, whatever.
Aline, I did not know with Anne Hathaway and Thomasin McKenzie. That was
a big Sundance movie. Yeah,
that was. I watched the trailer. Like, I actually wouldn't mind checking this out. Mm-hmm. They finally dropped a trailer for Ferrari, which I'm sorry, Adam Driver does not look like himself. But it's Michael Mann, and that's the only thing that makes me want to potentially check this out, because
that's the only thing that makes me kind of want to watch it. But at the same time, Michael Mann movies, some of them I've found dreadfully boring. So this is one that I will check out.
They did drop an actual trailer for Maestro.
Which I'm not interested in that at all.
Still not moving the needle for me. There is another. This one's probably one more closer, like Hallmark ones. Xmas with Robbie Amell. Oh God, was it late? Is it Leighton Messer or Messner? Meissner? Yeah, they're in that. It's a harmful trailer. But I think that's like going to be on like Roku or some Freeview or something like that. So I saw that trailer. It looked fine for what it was. I'm not expecting it to like move the needle. But one trailer that I actually was like, I remember you bringing this up during the fall show. And I was like, I have no interest in seeing this. But I watched the trailer. I was like, you know what? This looks fucking funny. Was Please Don't Destroy the Treasure of Foggy Mountain. This reminds me of Without a Paddle. And I'm actually all for it. Did you watch the trailer?
Yeah, it basically seems like Lonely Island doing Without a Paddle. That's what it seems like.
I'm for it because I'm sorry, I laughed quite a few times watching this trailer.
And I do think it was super smart of them to move it to a Peacock, and we all know Peacocks won't get much exposure. But I think it like when Popstar came out in theaters, it flopped hard. But even though it was a super funny movie, I think this would have just done the same thing. So I kind of am glad they put it on streaming. The trailer does look very funny, so I'm looking forward to that one quite a bit. There's also Lift, which you got a trailer for.
But that'll be that's in January. Done by the people who did the Time Job and stuff like that.
And the thing is, the lead actor in this is Kevin Hart. And as I told you earlier, it's like if this didn't have Kevin Hart in it, I would be way more excited for it. As is, it's like I'll watch it and I'm hopeful and I think it looks like it could be fun. But the Kevin Hart of it all tends to drag down most movies he's in.
But what I told you, this seems like more like a serious Kevin Hart and not the wow kind of Kevin Hart.
It seems like it. Let's wait and see if it is.
Yeah, that was just the trailer that we got made it seem like he was more the straight man and everyone else was the comedy and was more like action hero, serious Kevin Hart than just loud and wacky Kevin Hart. I also saw a trailer for American Fiction, which I wasn't thinking anything of it, but honestly, this actually looks like an interesting movie.
That's one with Jeffrey Wright, right?
Yeah.
That one looks interesting.
That looks very interesting. I'm intrigued for that one. Another one, of course, this one's going to be a big one for me next year. I love the recent trilogy, profusely, and that is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
I was waiting for you to mention that one. Yeah.
It doesn't have Matt Reeves as the director, but it does look like it has the heart of it. The only thing that worries me is the director. Nothing against the Maze Runners movies, but I just don't know if the Maze Runner guy is going to match Matt Reeves's direction of the Planet of the Apes films. But I loved, especially the last two of the trilogy. So as long as everything looks like it's in the same world, same story elements, it looks like it's following Cornelius, because obviously, Caesar's gone. I'm there for it. The trailer didn't move the needle, but it made me go, ooh,
I'm in the same place. On the trailer, I'm like, okay, it's nice to see that, we have a trailer, so it's a reality. It's coming. But the trailer itself didn't move my needle at all. It's kind of like,
I'm not. We need an actual trailer. But I'm just happy to see that they're continuing with it. I love how the apes look in it. And it doesn't look like, even with Matt Reeves gone, like clearly they're having, he's gone, but it looks like everyone except for Circus as well is still a part of this. And that's the thing that I was worried about, is that when they finished that trilogy, they're like, oh, we're gonna continue. And I was like, yeah, but if you're not gonna have the same group there, you're gonna lose what made it that. And it looks like that it could still be there to a point. We'll find out on that. A movie that I was like, cool, but I don't know if I'll watch it too. I'm 1,000% watching this now, and you might not care about this. Godzilla Minus One. Oh,
I'm in.
They dropped a new trailer for that. Whew, holy shit. I love Godzilla. And there goes the batteries for the lightsabers because we ran to the show so long. Yeah, I was like, okay, there goes the other one. But yeah, they I'm stoked for this.
Yeah, it's like I'm clearly I'm all in on like the new MonsterVerse. Like, I'm looking forward to Godzilla X Kong, what are they calling it?
I don't know if that's the working trailer or the working title or not. And then of course you have the Monarch series that starts this month.
The Monarch series, I'm honestly a little worried about Monarch because it looks phenomenal and I like the cast of it. But then the first early word we've been hearing is that like it takes a while to get going and it gets to the point where like a couple episodes you're like, okay, but are we gonna get to actually see some monsters? I'm like, oh, I feel like it's gonna be Godzilla 2014 all over again.
You've got Wyatt Russell playing Kurt Russell and vice versa. I'm there regardless of Godzilla being in it.
I'm there regardless, but I'm just.
But Godzilla Minus One has nothing to do with the MonsterVerse. That's just Toho doing their own version. But holy shit, this looks fucking great.
Yeah, it opens the end of this month. They're actually doing one night only. They're going to do it in IMAX theaters here. So I'm already planning on going to that. So it looks good. And I've never liked the old Japanese the Japanese Godzilla movies are all just, I can't watch those for the most part, but this one I'm going to check out because it looks.
I think
really
December 1st is when it's getting wide release, which I don't have IMAX near me, so that's when I would have to see it, is when it gets wide release. That trailer blew me away. I was super excited with what I saw there. Let me see if I'm missing any other trailers.
Movies that did not blow us away, but that we're still going to see. Anyone But You.
Yeah.
This is a romantic comedy starring one of our favorite people around here. Glenn
Powell.
Powell, thank you.
Yeah, Glenn Powell.
I was calling him Glenn Plummer. I'm like, it's a whole different actor. Glenn Powell, we love him. We're still waiting for him to break out. He needs to find that one big role.
This might be that movie, but
this could be that. And he's starring in Twisters coming early next year, like May of next year or something. So hopefully he'll finally get over that hump and kind of break out. I really like him. This trailer though did not make me excited for this movie. A part of it's because Sydney Sweeney seems like she's a horrible actress. I mean, granted, we didn't see a whole lot, but her line delivery in this was awful.
And I've never seen
Euphoria. She had big boobs.
Yeah, I've never seen Euphoria, so I can't gauge. This is like when all the girls from The Girls started acting in movies, and we're like, oh, they're great in The Girls. I never watched The Girls or Girls, so it's just like I didn't know Adam Driver before he started doing like This Is Where I Leave You or shit, because I didn't watch Girls. And this is kind of same with Euphoria. It's like we knew Zendaya because she was in Zendaya before Euphoria. I don't know who Sydney Sweeney is. She just kind of randomly all of a sudden started showing up with Glenn Powell everywhere, and it's for this movie, and you had all this build up, and that's the trailer we got. And I was just
like, the trailer. It didn't impress me. I'm still gonna watch it, and I hope I like it, but the trailer did not help my opinion of it at all.
Honestly, I forgot all about it till you just brought it up again.
One that just got a full trailer today. It already had a teaser. Sean's super excited about. That's the.
I think this is the last trailer we're talking about, because I can't think of anything else besides this one.
Well, here, let me drop another one first. It's not even it was more of an announcement teaser. It actually only played in theaters with a special screening. Terrifier 3, going to be a Christmas movie coming next year.
I heard that Hollywood backed out of its budget for the movie because of the first scene was so brutal.
But they haven't even filmed any of the movie yet.
Apparently, they read the script of what the first scene was, and Hollywood backed out of their budget, but they still have enough money that they're going to keep making the film.
Hollywood who? I don't know what you're talking about.
I think the studio or whatever. Oh. I don't know. I read that. It could have just been a bullshit.
The second movie was essentially crowdfunded with a small budget from like some supporting. And I think if they tried to go big budget on this, it'd be a mistake. This movie's definitely getting made.
Oh, no, there's no way it's not
for it. I don't know. And the whole thing is, the whole appeal of it was the over-the-top, brutal, gross nature of it. And so anybody who's going to support this movie is not going to back out based on that. But anyway,
make me watch this probably 4-hour epic when it comes out.
This is just it's a single scene teaser, and it's mostly a stupid, meaningless teaser. And it was filmed just for that. They haven't filmed the movie yet. It's filmed this for a announcement trailer, because they were doing screenings of Terrifier 2 for Halloween. And so I'm just happy. I'm happy to hear that it's a Christmas movie that's coming next year, because that's going to be fun and nice and gory. And then the last one is Sean's so excited about is Mean Girls. Mean Girls is a movie that
hold on. I clicked on. First off, I've watched Mean Girls for the first time this year. Wasn't it because it was your weekly?
But you never seen it before?
No, okay. I watched it for the first time this year. I think it was for you for the show.
Okay.
That was the first time I'd ever watched Mean Girls. Or was last year? I can't remember. I remember I watched it for the show. I thought it was fine. I didn't love it. I didn't understand why people love it as much as it is, but I mean, it was solid. But so when I saw this trailer for it today, I was like, oh, are they just re-releasing it? Or I heard there was a musical. It's like, but I didn't think it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a musical, like at Broadway. I didn't think it was going to be a movie musical. And then I saw this trailer, and I was like, oh, this is a remake.
Well, here's the thing: is they made Mean Girls the movie, which I thought was very funny. I think it surprised me because I had low expectations. I really enjoyed the movie quite a bit. Then they made Mean Girls the musical that went on stage on Broadway and touring, whatever. It was basically a musical of the movie, and that was apparently very super successful. And then they announced they're going to make a movie of the musical. This kind of like they did with the producers. They made the movie The Producers, the musical of the producers, then they made a movie of the musical of the producers. So it is essentially a remake because they're just making a movie version of the musical. And I was like, okay, I mean, the music that I've heard from the musical was okay, and I love musicals. But the music was okay. I watched it because they played it on MTV. They did an airing of like a filmed stage performance, and I thought it was fun, but whatever. But this one, besides being a musical, which I love, it also stars in the main role, in Lindsay Lohan's role, Angourie Rice. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I know how she pronounced her name. You may know her as the daughter from The Nice Guys, or as Betsy Brand, I think her name is, in the Spider-Man movies. She's done some other things like that. But especially The Nice Guys, she's awesome. I love her in that. And so she's playing the main role, so I'm excited about that. But the thing is, this new trailer finally came out, and it's basically saying this isn't your parents' Mean Girls or whatever. It is a remake basically, and they're kind of mostly hiding the fact that it's a musical. The title isn't like Mean Girls a musical.
There's brief glimpses.
In like the montages, you see people dancing, but for all you know, it's a dance at school or something like that.
Or it's something like they're just envisioning it, and that's how she walks through the hall.
Right, but this is a full-on musical. There are gonna be 4 musical numbers, and I think it's gonna be a large part of the movie. But it's like they're hiding that in the trailers, and I always hate when they do that. Like the first trailer for Sweeney Todd, when it came out, was like that. It's like they were like hiding the fact that, and even the first trailer for Les Mis, I think, hid the fact that it was a musical. And you're like, you're not helping anyone, because even if you get somebody to come see it, they're just gonna hate that movie and tell everybody else not to see this movie because it's the bait and switch thing. Now, maybe later trailers, they'll make it more obvious, but I hate the fact that they're hiding the fact that it's musical, because that, I think, it's who it's going to appeal to is people that like musicals. I think anybody who just likes Mean Girls is going to be like, hey, let's watch this remake, because like you said, none of the new characters or the new people playing the characters seems appealing at all.
I like the adult cast that they've got in it, but
most of them are carryovers though, except for John Hamm.
I'm talking about you got Jenna Fisher, you got Busy Phelps, you got Busy Phillips, you got John Hamm.
Oh yeah,
like I'm liking who they've casted for new adults in the movie, but
and of course Tina Fey and Tim Meadows. Tim Meadows is one of the best parts of the movie too. So
yeah. But I mean, none of the young cast really grabbed me at all. If anything, this just felt annoying. It felt like a cheap ripoff, and it's not supposed to be a cheap ripoff, but it felt like them not doing a parody, but just like, hey, look, we're gonna do our version of Mean Girls, but we only have like half the budget, not the star power.
It reminds me of when they wanted to make a TV show of the movie Heathers, and I want to say it was MTV. It might not have been MTV,
or when they try to do a TV version of Clueless.
Yeah, but Clueless, like, was at the time, was right on the heels of the show, and that happened with a lot of movies. They just make some throwaway TV show to put on there. But when they said they were going to make a TV show Heathers decades later, I'm like, okay, I really love Heathers, but will the show be any good? I don't know. I'll check it out. And then I don't even know if it ever actually came out, because like a pilot got released, and it was
the pilot came out, and then they just said
fucking awful. It was just all the characters were nothing like the characters of the movie, and it was just like it had to be, too much to try and be edgy, and it was just awful. So I'm like, I feel like this, if not taken as a musical, it just looks like doing that to Mean Girls. I don't know.
Yeah, I watched it this morning. I honestly thought it was a joke. Like if you dropped this on like April Fool's Day, I would have thought it was an April Fool's trailer joke. That's what it felt like to me. So I have no interest in seeing this. It'll be like the first Mean Girls, where it'll take me 20 years to watch it. Kind of thing. Probably not, because Brian, if it's good, Brian's gonna nag me until I watch it. But yeah, it's like I said, we had a lot of trailers over the last month. Normally, when we do this, it won't take really as long, because we'll be more on beat with it. Is there anything else movie news wise that
not really? There's been a lot of release date changes. I mean, Deadpool got bumped again. Mission Impossible moved back by a whole year.
That one hurt my heart so bad when they did that.
Snow White moved back by like a year.
I'm cool with that, because that one still photo they showed is fucking god awful.
Yeah, it looks pretty awful.
Awful.
The Bike Riders, which is that Austin Butler one, they just got a trailer recently that got taken off the schedule. I mean, it's going to come out next year, but there's no new date on it yet. Yeah, but other than some release date changes, I haven't seen a whole lot of movie news come out.
And the actor strike's still going on.
Yeah, which they keep saying, like, oh, it seems like we're at the end. It looks like they're going to solve, because apparently the movie studios kind of said, if we don't solve this in the next week or so, we're just going to shut down talks until the new year, because it's like our next year's schedule is already screwed anyway.
And then we're just going to have to keep doing shows.
And so now they've been having like these marathon sessions saying, oh, we're so close now. We're so close now.
Yeah.
And I hope they are. But even if it ends now, it's still already started screwing up next year's schedule.
Yeah, I don't even know what's going to happen when it comes to Oscar season. Like, are they even going to go to the Oscars now? Like, are they going to postpone the Oscars? Like, what? I don't know what the hell they're going to do. Which affects our show to a point, because we got nothing to talk about. But yeah, in terms of, well, I mean, yeah, I don't think there's really anything else personally, except for, just new stuff coming out like movie wise. But I mean, like this week, we've got Marvel's the Holdovers, I think is getting wide released. It's a Wonderful Knife apparently is getting released in theaters, even though it's not being released in my area. And then of course The Killer gets dropped on Netflix. We'll definitely have a review for The Killer and the Marvels, hopefully this weekend. I'm definitely seeing Marvels. As long as life lets me, I will see The Killer this week, and hopefully we can do a dual review if you choose to, based off of how you like it. Next week we've got Rustin gets released on Netflix. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the cartoon. Brian and I both love that movie, but we're both super hesitant about the cartoon.
The trailer hurt my excitement for it.
It mine as well. So maybe we'll do a review of that. Who knows? Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, that gets released in theaters. I'm optimistic about that. I like what I've seen, but I mean, I'm not like excited, but I'm like, I might check that out. Next Goal Wins comes out next week in theaters. I love Taika Waititi inspirational movies, and this is a sports movie with Michael Fassbender. So I'm, especially off the heels of Ted Lasso, I'm open to this. Thanksgiving, I am not checking that shit out. Brian will probably. Brian will. He'll tell me. Trolls Band Together, not checking that shit out either. Dashing Through the Snow comes out on Disney Plus. I doubt I'll check out. Please Don't Destroy the Treasure of Foggy Mountain. That gets released on Peacock.
Oh, one more Christmas movie you forgot to list. It's coming out.
Talking about the Naughty Nine.
No, Best Christmas Ever. Heather Graham, Jason Biggs, Brandy. You haven't seen that trailer? Oh.
No, but there's another Christmas movie. It's called The Naughty Nine, where I think it's a Disney Plus movie. I think it's got this one young actor I've seen in a couple things, and Danny Glover is Santa Claus in that. All I've seen is a poster of it, but I'm pretty sure that comes out this year as well. But with no trailer and it being November 8th, just like Red One, not banking on that, the A being good or B being released this year. But it's Disney Plus, so they'll probably drop it like Home Alone they did that one year.
Yeah, it looks like they put out a full trailer 2 weeks ago, so I guess it's coming out. But
for
yeah,
what? 99 or yours?
The 99.
Okay, I didn't see it. Also, Saltburn gets released in theaters. I don't really have interest in seeing that, but if it gets stellar reviews, I'll probably catch it around Oscar season, if there is an Oscar season this year after all. So we got plenty of stuff finally coming out. We will review what we can. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on the Movie Crusaders. Of course, with the follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. I hope you guys like this kind of new format. I don't think the episodes are normally going to be this long because we've been trying to catch up on a month's worth of stuff. But this is kind of going to be the new layout. We might do this weekly. If there's nothing really to talk about that week, then we're just not going to we're not going to pop on and do this. But when we have stuff to talk about, we will hop on. We will talk about trailers, movie news. Next week we might talk about Gen V finale and Loki finale and the House of Fallen Usher. Yeah. Just because Brian will be caught up on all that, and we might talk about that stuff. When we have stuff to talk about, we will pop on and we'll do kind of a laid back version of as you see here. Also,
there'll still be our regular show. There'll still be reviews sometimes. We'll still have seasonal previews, end of the year award shows, things like that are all still going to be coming.
We definitely have the end of year stuff coming up here at the end of December, where we will go over our best, worst, most disappointing, most surprising. Obviously, whether or not the Oscars get canceled because of the strike, we will be here for the 3rd annual Movie Crusaders Awards. We've been keeping track of all the movies and all the awards. We'll definitely be back for that. So we will still be doing our normal shtick and our normal stuff. We'll still be reviewing everything, all that kind of stuff. We just might not be doing much of a weekly show, and if it is, it'll be more like this. So we hope you guys stick around. We hope you guys enjoy it. We hope you guys watch. Interact with us. Comment. What do you like? Is there any of the trailers that we talked about that you're interested in? What do you guys think of Gen V and Loki and all that kind of stuff? Do you like the new set? Brian's looks the same. But he did say he's actually going to start changing it up a little bit. Let us know. Interact with us. We like talking to you guys. We like talking about movies and stuff like that. So feel free to interact. Let us know what do you guys want us to talk about on these shows. We're open, especially if we're going to be running out of stuff to talk about because of the strike. We're open to thoughts and ideas and topics you guys would like us to talk about. But let us know.
And Sean's considering expanding the channel into other things besides movies too.
Yes, I am in the process of talking to somebody about potentially starting a pro wrestling show. We will talk about WWE, AEW, stuff like that. Don't know
me.
exactly
Spoiler
when we
alert.
shoot it off. What's that?
So it's not me. Spoiler alert.
No, it won't be with Brian because Brian's not a wrestling fan, which I can respect that. We might start doing sports shows. We talk about NFL, NBA, MLB. Who knows? I'm trying to expand, do some other things. What do you guys want us to talk about? Newsflash: we're not talking about anything religious or political. So don't even try. But exactly, that is one way to get us.
Politics and religion show. Let's go.
Yes, no, not a chance. You will not. We will just shoot a show for 3 hours with us not in our seats, and that'll be the show you'll get. But we are currently the Movie Crusaders. My name's Sean Waskrug. That is Brian Michaels. And until next time, in case we don't see you, go watch the movies and go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.